Professors of School of Management of UAT. We're delighted to take you through the post-lunch sessions of day one of our international workshop on GenAI in design thinking, critical thinking, and innovation.
To begin our post-lunch academic journey, it is my pleasure to introduce our first distinguished speaker of the afternoon who has joined us offline today.
Our first speaker for the afternoon is Dr. Mustaq Ahmad Sir, who is the Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at MNIT. With over 26 years of academic experience, he has made significant contributions in fields such as IoT, blockchain, wireless sensor networks, and cloud computing. He has published more than 90 research papers, received 2 patents in blockchain, and guided several PhD scholars. We are honored to have him with us today to share his expertise.
I would now request Professor Dr. Pradeep Kumar Sharma sir, the Registrar of UH Jaipur, to kindly felicitate our distinguished speaker with a token of respect, Dr. Mustaq Ahmad sir.
A big round of applause for sir.
Let's hear a huge round of applause.
Thank you so much. And now, with immense pleasure, I invite Dr. Mustaq Ahmad sir to kindly deliver his expert address for session 3. Sir, the stage is yours.
First, I would like to First, I would like to thank the UAM Institute and Larissa sir and Dr. Kumar, all the academic staff who have shown interest to deliver this important topic, this important topic. And thank you very much for inviting me. Pertaining to this topic is very much relevant for the current scenario, which I have taken as a part of this. Because being in the academia, we do the past to know that where we do stand and where that perspective will be, that need to be cope up with that. Without that, we would not be able to make our product outcomes which will be cope up by the industry, or we will not be able to get that aware. So, what the current situation is, and where do we stand, and what is the expectation that need to be for using this, the important part of this generative AI. So, in this, so, as you know that this very year, the two main scientific awards pertaining to this chemistry and physics that has been awarded, and in that, the majority of the work they would not be able to get that without using the AI. And this is because of the resources available, because of this fast computing, and because of this. The use of the AI, they would be able to get the achievement and the recent award of that. So in that case, the constraint pertaining to this AI is that we do require to have those type of the resources in academia, institute, in the university to give that a fast forward outcome. And the latest research pertaining to that has to be exploited and that has to be used for mankind. So pertaining to that, the challenges are there and what levels we are and how much the contributions that we can make. Pertaining to that, the challenges are there. In this, the desirability that we should have this high performance computing environment available, which has to be low cost and that has to be openly available. Now, pertaining to this, there are online resources like the cloud computing, the use of the parallelized computing environment using the CUDA, using the H100, H200, GPGPU based cluster systems that are openly being available. So in our institute, I am in that process of preparing one such type of the cluster for our department and faculty members, where the student can use those resources online, which is the least cost available, approximately 24 lakh rupees that has been available for the period of 1 year. In that case, that can be sustainable for to make all those large computing that is needed for getting that the good result outcome. So the criteria for making this type of that research pertaining to this AI is that we need pass to have the better and better outcome. In that case, the accuracy is expected. The large data source, if it is not been available, we will not be able to get that. And for that large resource, it is expected that the resource must be okay.
ऊपर लगाओ ऊपर
I hope now it is better and audible. Yes, thank you very much. And so the concern pertaining to this is that we do require to have those type of that better and better achievement unless the data purpose is not available, unless the resource are not being able to fulfill that requirement, we will not be able to do that. So in that case, the constraint pertaining to this is that in every aspect of the environmental, such type of that utilization of the data for giving that the expected outcome that has to be analyzed and managed pertaining to that the AI is providing the best tool for making that achievement. So concern pertaining to this is that the majority of the industry and the business they are using such type of that AI to the environment now. You may be hearing that the term which is referred to as agentic AI, the multiple number of agents and the tools that are being combined together so to facilitate and provide those type of that services which is needed in order to make that complete outcome. So the challenges are there that how and fast and better way we can go. Now, pertaining to that, the use of this AI, this is what that important thing is. In that case, as you can see that when I talk about this top producing AI models which are being used for making such type of that better outcome or pertaining to that agentic AI, that this type of this type of who is the best and where that is being and where to be instead. As you can see over here that the majority of these tools are being generated or being used by the American company and agencies. The second number is the China. Now that difference is very big. If you look over
ये
here,
लिंक
and
पे
in that
उस पे
case,
जो आपने
all
भेजा
these,
था ना यूट्यूब
all
फेसबुक
these
वाला
the other country like India and other, they are
वो
not
वाला
very
रिपीट
enough pictures
मेरे को
compared
भेजो
to
ना
that which is
दूसरा
being used. So, in overall, when such type of
नहीं
the
ये
tools
करंट वाला भेज दो अभी
their use that is required in the case of the large computing resources are required. So majority of those resources are aligned with these two countries only, and we are just required to rely on those type of the resources on the paid basis. Without that, we will not be able to do or perform any type of the large computation. So the challenges are there. Now here, there are the multiple type of the situations that are being now available in order to make that accountability also pertaining to that the challenges are there. So because while using such type of the tool where the constraint pertaining to the various type of the challenges like the plagiarism or stealing or uh, counterfeiting those type of that work which is already been done, something like that. The challenges are there. So who need to do? Who has to be responsible? If some industry or organization has developed some tool and he has assigned that tool to some person or organization or individual one, in that case, it would happen that may be used for the wrong purposes. So in that case, to whom that accountability should be pertaining to that the challenges are there. So in that case, the multiple set of that the accountabilities that have been created and they are undergoing. So in that case, the regularizations and use of that is rising, and in that case, the accountability is also being set up for the industry also and to the end users also. So in that case, we do require to have those type of the challenges which need to be a part of that level where that has to be used in the proper manner. So in that case, if we look into that how much amount that we spend, the manpower which we are making or we are working in that case, where do we spend and what would be that the better outcome? So industry is spending a large amount of the money related to this AI. As you can see over here, that the 2.4 billion is being spent by that has been placed by the Canada, then to the China, and the Arabian countries and the European countries, they are also spending billions of the dollars pertaining to the enhancement of their uh, technology, and that is what the expectation is that in that if we want to make our nation developed nation, if we want to use that the state of art technology, in that case we should have our own tools and the technology available with us with the cheaper cost, and that has to be accessible to all. Pertaining to that, the amount is a very big amount that is to be required, that is required, and the government should support that. Pertaining to that, the challenges are currently we are facing that to get to those type of that minimal basic financial requirement that need to be there. So in that case, and the challenges are there that the industry and the academia interaction, which plays a very important role. That vice president, associate vice president, Subhajit Bhattacharya has also delivered the task related to that also. So what I would like to emphasize is that in this, the academia has to be given some sort of the support from the industry also to meet that requirement, and that will lead to those type of that good product outcome. In that case, the teachers need to be trained, and the resources must be available, and we should be able to compute that or get that result outcomes, and the preparatory analysis of the related work is there, the novelty will be achieved. Without that, it would be difficult to get those type of the challenges. Now, in this, this presentation would be related to that, the type of the research currently that is going on, the technical part of that, how that is being made, and other part which I was prepared, but that shall be later on if the time permitted that I will have to deliver that part. But these are those important aspects that has to be delivered. So in this case, what is happening that the academia is playing a very much important role for the publications and the good research work. So as you can see over here, that the amount of the publication has been doubled in the AI itself, where the majority of, irrespective of the branch, irrespective of any discipline, so the people are using the AI for their calibrations, accuracy, and the predictions and analytical part that how that their product is performing. In that case, the challenges are there, and this is what the good achievement is. Now, as you can see, that the number of this publication has been doubled. This implies that the people are more reliant on this AI tools and techniques which are giving us the better outcome, which was not feasible earlier because of the limited resources and the limited data corpus. Now, the amount of the research or the publications, if you can see over that the span of this 10 years, that the number of the journals are around 1 lakh, and the other conference and books that are being published, and you can see that it is increasing by large. Now, pertaining to this, the changing ideas that we have in the state, as in India, there are the two things which I used to state that without having the resource, I would not be able to do that. Clusters systems for the deep learning and for the AI, it requires to have large data sources, large data corpus, along with that cluster-based system. In India, earlier it was only the three such type of the clusters which were there, and it was expected that in this very year we would be having around 10. So maybe that would be possible in the next 6 months that we would be having those cluster-based AI cluster-based systems, which would be available to the academia and industry. They can use those that in-house those type of the clusters for their research purposes. So the challenges are there that in this, I think it is too small to be visible over here. that the percentage of that computation, so that or that outcome pertaining to that in India was only 5%, for Southeast Asia that was 5%. Now that has been reached up to the 9%. So that means that the gradual upgradation pertaining to that is there, where we are being able to take a good outcome which would be used for our research purposes. Now here in this case, the geographically area which we will first look into, in that case, the top 100 companies or the work which are being done, in that case, majority of this is the United States and the China, and yeah, ourselves we are missing in this chapter. So somehow in that there must be our official presence must be there, in the case of the amount of the effort which we ought to do, that must be reflected, and that has to be over here, which we expect that in the future, near future, we will be able to get that. Now here in this case, major part of this, the AI use, I just focus on the selective part of that. One is this, the technological response, where that the use of this in order to make the automation, industry automation, uh, the amount of work which is being done by the humanoids or the robotics that are there, and you can see that the AI is playing a very important role. So not only the base part of the robot for the learning, it has been able to perform 100 unique tasks, and the new robot systems that are also being decentralized for the automatic machine learning tools that are being able to make multiple such tasks. So the challenges are there, that how we can make such type of the systems which can perform multiple type of the tasks. So nowadays we refer to that as a humanoid, which is working or behaving like the humans and also performing those type of the tasks which are required for the industrial automations, where the human presence may be a catastrophic or may not be vulnerable. So in that case, the task has to be assigned, and then that has to be given to the humanoids. Now, this is a negative reflections that we are getting recently. Yesterday, I was just seeing that report that the China has deployed this humanoid in the border area to combat or counterfeit that India's area of the positions which we claim that we have that. So the challenges are there, that we have this pros and cons pertaining to those type of the use, and how this type of that human can be used. So in this various type of data tools which are being available, say some of that are listed over here to perform such type of the data set or that training part, so to train such type of the robotic systems or the human action to perform those type of the tasks. So here the auto RT is there. I think it is auto RT is there, which is allowing to perform this multiple type of the task and train the system. Likewise, all these are being made by the Google to perform such type of that devices or to perform that. So in that case, the challenges are there, that in this the response of this the complexity of this is transforming in the manifold, and they are capable of making a complex task to be executed efficiently. So pertaining to that, the resources and the tools and techniques which are being automated and available, so they are just drag and drop or assigned to those devices, and then they would start functioning like that. So the challenges are there, which I missed this part when I traveled to the Dubai recently in June. That I was very much keen to take a ride of the automated car. So that is related to that specific area and a specific zone with that minimal cost because so that the driver is not a human being. So in that case, the cost of that person using that car is also minimal one. So I think that 10, 20 billion is there. So, but those for the selective area. Now, depending, but something like this is not feasible in India. We cannot say that we have to drive at our own risk. So, but there they have that rules and regulations in that way that such type of the devices can be created and they can provide those type of the services. Now, making such type of the device it requires a multiple sensors, multiple decision-making systems which has to coordinate or synchronize in such a way that they how to make that real in the real time that the decision-making that what type of how much the speed should be and where that is part in which direction the device has to move. So the range and locality of that is also being defined and this is again increasing that is implying that we are relying more on those this robotic systems which can be played or which can be used more efficiently and if that has been properly managed and trained. Now, pertaining to this, when we talk about this AI and machine learning, the challenges are there that when we talk about the system is capable of doing something, so how do we differentiate with the AI with the machine learning? So the concern being pertaining to that, so that we have to be extent I have been gone through, but now that important aspect of the part of it is that we require to think about and learn about what is this AI is. Now there are we do require because there are the certain type of the situations where we may think that the system would operate and that will work without learning basis. Can you give the example of something like that, which is existing, which you may know or aware? It's just interactive question. Anything where we need not require to have some data corpus or based on that the system has to train and based on that the decision has to be made and to decide that whether that is correct or not. So the AI is a recommendable type of the things where based on that outcomes it has to give the some suggestive outcome. A suggestive outcome which has to be opted by the user. Now in this the training of the system, can you give us some example where that the system is we need not require data to be trained, the systems to operate and work accordingly. It is robotic traversal or the path which has to be traversed. So the direction of that is already been made, and in that case it has to traverse in the right and left. So nothing training pertaining to that or the data based large database corpus based training is required. It has to automatically operate according to that the directions and that the path which has been mentioned. So nothing like that is required. But we, in order to make the better system, the two strategies are there. What is that? The labeled data is there, and another is the unlabeled type of the data. So for the large data corpus to train that system, so to give us that the suggestive outcome, which is referred to as an AI, which the machine can think humanly in the human accordance and give that the suggestive output which is to be expected by the system. In that case, the label data is required, which is also referred to as the supervised type of the learning. So in that case, the data corpus is expected to be large so that the system may never get a fail. But in that case, the corrective output is very much important. So if I am using some data corpus pertaining to the healthcare system and if the accuracy of that is maybe, let us say, of 80% or 85%, in that case, out of this 85, 100 people, 15 may also get that the wrong treatment. In that case, that would be a catastrophic factor of the situation. So what is expected that my system should be able to make those type of that better analysis, better large data purpose, so that the predictive suggestions which is being made by that has to be accepted by large without making any casualty. So that is what that important thing is. So in that case, the class A large data purpose where the deep learning plays an important role. So as you can see, or we can state that the AI is theory and development of the computer system which is able to perform tasks over the required human intelligence. So, and in this, the machine learning part, where I will be using that unsupervised cycle learning or the supervised cycle learning. So in that case, the learning is required in order to make a better outcome. Now, sometimes it happens that the space where that is to be used, in that case, the boundary of that is being so complicated that the data cannot be easily separated. Okay, or we cannot easily categorize that into which category that belongs to. In that case, we require to separate the space pertaining to that to make that clear indications. Like I may put those type of that into the front view of this would be there that this is the device in my hand. Okay, but if I put this in the separate space, in that case, I can make this and visualize this from this direction. In that case, that the clear separation from this can be there. That it is separated from this, and I can easily make the comparisons of the data. So likewise, we do require to make those kernels to clearly identify this thing. And that is a complex task, and we have type of the task there that is separable of the data, whether that is a linear or non-linear, how that can be done. So pertaining to that, the challenges are there where we do require to categorize and specify that whether that the data can be properly labeled or not. In that case, normally that the regression technique is also there, so the root mean star or the R star strategies like which we use to teach in that in the machine learning that if the error are there, in that case, how we can rectify them so the penalty clause also can be imposed or some sort of that mismatching if it is been there. In that case, we can apply some sort of that mitigation method so that the accuracy can be increased. So in that case, the the regression of that would be required in order to do that for the particular amount of time. So in order to make a better outcome for both the supervisor and supervised cycle learning. So in that case, some sort of the challenges are there. So by doing this deep learning technique, because the biasing is the big concern. I'm having the data. In that case, the data is may be biased towards some other one, and it may be not performing as per the expectations. So what causes to that biasing? Either that the training is not sufficient, so or that the tracing of the data I'm using that with that limited type of that features. So in that case, the challenges are there, so that whether that is a correct or not. So pertaining to that, the challenges are there that the biasing should not be there. So I will give some examples pertaining to this. That in in the image processing or the pattern recognition, if the complexity of the person is dark, I'm giving these two examples. One is related to that which was shown in the 2019, and then the other one which was the recent one, the applications of that part. 70% of the system decisions were failed. because of the dark complexity of the person, the system was giving the biased decision or giving that wrong prediction of the output that to which category that person belongs to. Now that has been reduced to the reduced up to the 30%. So from the 70% to now that has been reduced to the 40%. Still 40%. And the both Professor K.C. Jain, he used to visit our institute, and he gave his own image to the Google and asked that which person is this, and it showed all those dreaded criminals who are in the prison in the Texas jail. So he said that this is the fact because my computer screen is dark and the system is unable to recognize that, and he is comparing with those other criminals in jail. So something like that is very much vulnerable and that has to be mitigated. So in that case, the challenges are there. Now, if you make the better comparative analysis and the large data corpus the system will be able to take. So in that case, so the feature extractions in that plays a very important role. In that case, we require to have the large corpus, large this better system to understand, and there we require all this the feature extraction that has to be done automatically. So in that case, the intermediate layers that has to be many, so that the multiple outcome if that are there in that case, the decision for either using the decision tree or with that probability or expectation base, so we can decide that this is the best expected output which we require to use, or otherwise we may enhance that at the entry level which would be used in order to give that better outcomes which we claim that would be a generative AI. That this is what the outcome is, but we are enhancing that as per our expectations and giving us to that so that the majority of that outcome would be accepted. And that is what the generated outcome is. So in that case, likewise, the large language model which are now being used for the text synthesis and use of that. So one exercise was given to the student pertaining to that who are using this chat GTP. Majority of you are also having those type of the chat GTP in your mobile also. So if someone asks you, or may I ask you to ask that chat GTP to give me the image of a doctor or a nurse, what would happen? For each and every individual which are sitting over here and seeking this information, it will give this different output, different image to each and every individual.
Yes.
Yeah? And that may be male, female, both. And so concerning pertaining to this theory is related to the geographical area, the region from where that is been generated, and accordingly that image may also be reflected, and it has to be unique in that case. That if that data corpus is too large, very large, efficient enough in that case to give you that to whom you are seeking and whether that you like or not. So in that case, likewise of that if it has been done, in that case the repository pertaining to that person would be there where that log of information will be there, and next time if that has been asked, in that case it will reflect it quite similar to that output. So in that case the system is trained in that accordingly, and that requires the large amount of the computation. One also that the question which was raised is that if we ask the machine, hello or good morning and how do you do, and in order to do that, the response of that would require the large computation work and to give that output. In that case, the amount of that energy which is being consumed to generate that output, the similar amount of the energy is required to cool that machine also. So the huge amount of the energy is being used in order to produce this type of the work, and that is again a challenging one. So concerning to this is that we do require to have the better models which can be able to give also the better specific type of that which can be accepted, and the clear classification and distinction of the data is to be there. So the challenges are there, so that how this type of the model can be easily or classified. In that case, the concern is that the data must be labeled. That has to, that if it is not been there, in that case we require to use this map-based approach in order to make the multiple classifications of the data, and the linearly separable or the non-linearly separable data, if it is with there, the complexity would be there. So in that case, the clear classification would be there. So what is the distinction? Distinction is that the type of the model which is being expected, that has to be decided and delivered, that can also be enhanced to impress the users that this is the better one without multiple dots and कौन सा लॉगी कहलाता है? हाँ? इसके बहुत सारे डॉट डॉट होते हैं. हाँ? नहीं Dalmatian, I think. जिसके वो डॉक्टर्स में ज्यादा रहते हैं. So something like that. In that case, we are very much happy with that type of the output which is there. So this is what the expectation is. So in that case, the model which we expect, the training should be there, that the categorization of that and having down sort of the category available, the system should be very much be recognized and classify that accordingly. Only in that case, the acceptance would be there. So the challenges are there, so that the classifications and the use of the data should be there. So as I said that the acceptance of that with that the correct probability and the classifications based on that, and I guess and other types of the techniques that should be there in order to use that. So in that case, the criteria of the selection would be based on those kind of features. So extracting the features is a very much important part or the aspect pertaining to this, that to which that category or the person belong to. Sometimes we do require to add additional features in order to make it more acceptance. Likewise, if I ask that those who are wearing the red jerkin or red sweater, they have to be only considered for some statement or questionnaire. Okay, so in that case, I have assigned these additional attributes or the features pertaining to those type of that objects which has to be used. So if that is not been there, in that case we can make the distinction among them. So likewise, एक example के तौर पर, I think I have given this example earlier also. In Southeast Asia, I think Singapore, there was a one big parking area or parking lot, and they do require to find that which slot is available. So what they did, that they put that additional support or indicator of using the balloon, that this is the area where that space is available, and the user has to go and park their car over there. So these are the certain type of that additional things which we can say that move to the front thing, which we usually see in the algorithms, that whatever the based on that the decision has to be taken first with that from the front side. So making to the front is also based on that the type of the attributes which need to be assigned, based on that the decision can be made. So pertaining to that, the challenges are there, so that the categorizations based on those features is there. So this is part that the clear indications are related to this is that having that the category available and trying to identify that whether that particular object belongs to that category or not, we can classify using this and this type of methodology where that the multiple number of the constraints is there. In that case, we can add those all those type of that features or those probability or the classifications along with that to identify that under which category that particular object to belongs to. So in that case, the generative AI would give that the enhancement where that the probability of that would become high without sort of that enhancement of the feature set which are being emphasized or given so that the acceptance of that would be more. And that is what the expectation is to make that another acceptability. So likewise, here in this case, the distinction between those type of the features are categorized based on those objects and their attributes. Okay, so pertaining to that, we can make a histogram also pertaining to those type of that features also. So, and the histogram, if that has been making, so we have tested this for the crowd analysis with it in 2017, where those features which has to be accepted. Uh, ये टेक्स्ट थोड़ा सा पीछे आ रहा है so we- so what we expect that we requires to focus on those type of the features which are available and emphasize on them to get the better acceptability. So the from this emphasization we require to have the better filter and that would be varying based on that and the nature and the type and the category of those that the objects are. So in that case, the better that categorization and enhancement of the features like we have used the AI filter, IO filter, carbon filter, or polygon filter, multiple variations of that filters are there so to extract them. And the challenges are there so that to identify that object, the background may be moving or object itself may be moving or both of them are moving in the end. Some of that are being occluded, some of them are hidden. In that case, how and fast and efficient way we can identify and categorize that the challenges are there. So pertaining to that, there's a lot of research that has been there. So in that case, a simple type of that classification is the logic regressions, multiple type of regression techniques are there. We have the logic regressions, lasso regressions, log linear regressions, descent based type of the regressions, multiple such type of the regressions are there, which mitigate those type of the errors and give us that better outcome, which every person who is working in that machine learning area or AI enhancement part that must be aware about to decide that whether that has to be accepted or not. So pertaining to that, the challenges are there which we require to go for making such type of the decision. So certain type of the categories are there where we cannot apply the generative AI, and selective of them are there where we can apply the generative AI. Okay, so in that case, the type of this LLM model currently which you are using or that is available freely, in that case, that are having the billions of the features in order to get that level information output. And normally in this case, the challenges are there. So in our institute or departments, we are focusing on the four different variables of the data: text, audio, video, and image. And in that case, how that has to be distinguished and how that can be made and varieties of the ways that can be compared and use that in order to make the output to challenges and set of the environment pertaining to that are different and we want to go for that. So this is one of the examples which I have suggested that if you give this request of getting that information, in that case, it may not be the same next time and all the times that has to be vary. In that case, this implies that the system is learning itself and giving this. Another example, if I give this, that I ask this question to the ChatGPT that whether this particular person or categorized to this or this. So he gives this output that this person is categorized in this area and belong to this zone or locations or that. Okay. When I ask that this person, whether this person is not categorized to this category or that, in that case, it emphasize on that note and give that output, which was totally different from the previous one. So the thing is that the system is still requires to get the learning and the finishing, which is to be accepted and it should not be biased. So the biasing is a very big concern pertaining to that the output that has to be taken. So in that case, we require to go for the better information, the transformative and the acceptive mechanism that has to be initiated in order to make that a proper output. Likewise, this is what normally we are doing nowadays for getting a completion of the sentences. So whatever that is being expected, which we are using, quite similar to that the output is being generated and we are accepting that and that is being stored in the log. So next time whenever you type that will be reflected and will use that so that we can complete those other sentences. So renunciation is another concern pertaining to that. The type of that version which is replaced, it is giving that the other type of the output which is not being accepted. So the challenges are there, so that is some type of that communications that could be mitigated and how that can be improved. So, in the generalized way, where we can say that all those four different types of the categories, so that the text, image, audio, video, the various types of the tasks which are being there, where this generative AI can be used or currently being used in order to train that system to give that better output or the successful output which can be accepted by us. So the work is currently going on in that. I was supposed to give that the text summarization type of the output over here, but the time is not there to explain that part. But the things are there that the majority of the similar type of the work that has already been done by the various companies and they are launching their tools or product in the market so that the acceptability of their product can be large. And whosoever is the first, and that is the winner. And that is why that's why people are trying their level best to uh, marketize or publicize their outcome. So quite similar to that, the text to image to text type of the conversions and the three conversions type of the model currently that are existing and now are freely available in some cases where we can use that and the industry are using those techniques. I think both such type of the examples that shall be presented in this workshop by the experts from the industry or economy. And this is what my presentation is that this generative AI applications are various and many where the more work is desirable or expected where that accuracy and the correctness is important and we require to have the better solution pertaining to those. So I spoke over here. Some example pertaining to this is the healthcare where we had applied this CNN model where the feature extensions that has been done by the system itself and that is giving that better accuracy. So likewise, we require to have the accuracy precision and requires when the F1 score need to be large and the accuracy need to be large, precision has to be good. So that the acceptability of that should be there. So otherwise, if that is not been there, the catastrophic situation, specifically in this healthcare system, that will be a big concern. So we have to work on majority of the work in this area is currently going on in the multiple institute also. Okay. On time, okay. So, thank you very much for hearing me. Pertaining if you have any questions, please ask. I should cover. I tried to cover last part of that with that limited time. So if you have any question pertaining to this AI, please ask.
Yes, thank you so much, sir, for this enlightening and informative session. We are now open the floor for questions, and please feel free to ask for any queries to sir. Any questions from the audience?
Sir, my one journal, it is not related to the topic, general question. My question is, how much AIP progress in last 20 or 30 years?
So I give you the chart. Okay, so that chart belongs to that AI.
No, no, means I'm asking, uh, not in this quantity, quality means how much it will, in what extent it will go up in the coming 20
The
or 30 years.
quality of the research work or the outcome that will be reflected from the journal publication, conference publications, all those research work, because there must be some proper analysis reviewed, and that should be compared with the previous work. So there are some multiple areas where such type of that research is currently going on. I give you that reflection that the majority of the amount that is being spent on this AI, and people are working in that area. So having those resources available, having that data corpus available, more better outcome would be there, and that are reflection rate. So what I would like to emphasize is that the work 80% of the work or the research ideas that are being given by the academia, and the 20% part is from the industry side. So if the industry academia partnership is there, in that case the better outcome would be there in order to get the corrective information, and that has to be assisted by the large people, because that outcome would be adopted by the industry, and that is what the expectation is. So in that case, industry academia partnership should be there, and that is only the way where we can make the refinement and the better AI type of that output. तो ज्यादातर यही है कि सर जब तक हम उसमें कम्युनिकेशन नहीं करेंगे, रिसर्च का आप कर रहे हो, वो अगर किसी क्लास ए या लेवल ए की कॉन्फ्रेंस में अगर आपका एक्सेप्ट होता है, तो दैट विल रिफ्लेक्ट योर रिसर्च कंट्रीब्यूशन. तो बेसिक वाले टाइप की अगर होगी तो उसमें तो गुड फॉर नथिंग वाला पार्ट होता है. तो आपको जर्नल पे और बेस्ट जर्नल है, Q1 Q2 जर्नल है, उस पे आपको ध्यान देना है. और दूसरा आपका लेवल ए बी वाली कॉन्फ्रेंस में उस पे ध्यान देना होगा, तभी आपका वो कंट्रीब्यूशन एक्सेप्ट माना जाएगा या बेहतर माना जाएगा.
Okay. Any more questions from anyone? Okay. Thank you so much for this question, sir. Okay, Iqbal.
Sir, I'm not from your background, but I just want to know that what are the basic examples of NN, artificial neural network, that we can understand as a normal other
Okay.
people.
Normally, what happens that the neural network means is that the machine is being trained in such a way that the human can think. Okay, so in that case, the neurons are been there in that information. It can store those informations and make the decision. So in this RNN, CNN, DNN, SNN, varieties of this type of that machine learning techniques are there, where the system can be trained, and based on that the decision can be taken. So in that the recent is that the SNN based, that spiking neural network. Have you heard about this? So spiking implies that unlike that the deep learning techniques where the entire data corpus which has to be used and random data has to be selected and be required to do that regressive analysis. The SNN uses only those spikes of the figuring things. In that case, it reduces the complexity or the computation time up to the 80%. But that may not be the always perfect, because that triggering may be a false, or that may be a biased one. In that case, the decision has to be at the multiple decision tree level, which further has to be applied. So I suggest that the DATE date conference you will go and there you will find that all these type of that machine learning techniques that are being synthesized and based on that the multiple applications the people are submitting their publications and there we would be able to realize that where do we stand. So currently in India very less type of such type of the work of the synthesis of such type of that AI and machine learning on the chip is there. My team is also working in that and they have implemented CNN. They are working on the PNN and they are working on the blockchain. They are working on the SNN, spiking neural network part. So in that case, the chip would be able to do that fast and that cannot be altered and that is one of the advantage of those. The AI on chip is and Intel has opted this the core AI part which has been made by the IIT Guwahati in their FPGA type of systems. So this is the big achievement from the Indian side that has been opted by the Intel. Any other question?
Okay. Thank you so much, the audience, and thank you so much, sir, for addressing all the questions so well. Now,
And now, as a mark of gratitude, may I request Professor Dr. G. Omar Ma'am, Associate Dean of Engineering of UM Jaipur, to join us on stage and to kindly present the token of appreciation to Dr. Mustaq Ahmed. A big round of applause.
thank you, ma'am, and thank you so much, sir, once again for joining us today. Now, as we have moved halfway towards this post-lunch session, I would request all to move for a small 10 minutes tea break, and we all will be joining back for the next session by 3:15 sharp. Thank you. Okay, dear faculty members, can I just request
He has led major HR functions at Wipro, shaped talent strategies worldwide, and is also a dedicated educator, mentor, and visiting faculty at several IITs. His work in leadership development, organizational growth, and social upliftment makes him an inspiration for me. We're privileged to have him with us today. A big round of applause for Sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are completely visible and audible. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The PPT is absolutely visible.
So, good afternoon. I was just listening to the professor's his lecture. I joined 10 minutes prior. I'm sorry I have to, push your team inside the room, and I was the culprit. It's not your college, okay? So, all the blame comes to me for not allowing you to have a tea break now. Given that I have a tight schedule at 4, I have another international club. So, I just thought I would share some of my insights, given that this particular subject, I've been teaching in the space of human resources for students of IIM as well as ISB. So I will give you a flavor, and I'm sure as academicians you will have worked on this. Some of it, I'm sure, as I think the professor said earlier, 80% of research work in the AI is in the academic space, and 20% of that is happening in the industry. So there are a couple of use cases which I can tell you in the human resource space, as well as generative AI and design thinking is concerned. So I will complete this session by about 25-30 minutes, and I'll think about 15-20 minutes in the 1 hour which is we will be, and by 4 we will stop for sure. Just to give you some anecdotal background, I think somebody asked these questions to the professor just now. Believe me, today, if there are employers starting from Googles of the world or Microsofts of the world, if they need to survive by enticing their entire client population or customer population, the only way they have is to adopt AI bottoms up. So when I say bottoms up, people who contribute about 90% of the total revenue of the company, who are at the experience rate of say 3 to 10 years, they need to be completely agile in terms of learnability. And when you reverse the pyramid, starting from the CWPs and CXOs who run the organization, in fact, they should be an example of adoption of AI in practice. When I say in practice, in all the modules of customer service which you are giving, you may be a manufacturer of Tesla, or you could be a manufacturer of a medical drug, or you could be a teacher teaching using smart technology inside the classroom, or you could be a radiologist doing radiology bit of work. Today, agnostic to the industry, I think adoption has to be embraced. Second, there are a lot of these conversations which you must have heard and you must have seen on research papers. Different research papers give you different dimensions of data. What does it tell? It says X million jobs will be wiped out. What they don't say, what are the 5 million jobs which are created? So, as an employer being in the industry for about 3 decades or so, believe me, if you have an X job today, which could be a legacy technology which is being used, you being a manufacturing company, you being a retail company, you may be a healthcare organization, or you could be a government organization. You have no negotiation on not leveraging the so-called technology, both in terms of implementation and realizing value for the customer or end client. For a government, you and me are customers or end client. For a public servant, you and me are end customers. For a private owner of a large transactional or multinational company, it would be the consumers who consume the product or the service, be it in a Taj gateways of the world or in an airline which we get served during our journey. Everywhere consumption is about 80% of technology today. Most of these companies can't even survive, and let me tell you, thankfully, COVID has been an enabler. COVID has been an enabler. Their ability to build the capability from legacy to the new age technology has happened, and you will have new set of job creations, which may not be replaced in your old set of roles. So whenever you speak in any forum, be mindful while X million jobs which are replaced, those are replaced by technologies which are here and now and latest and greatest. So it's a myth that there will not be any role created for you at all. Believe me, it took me 3 attempts to clear AI entry-level certification. It took me about 6 attempts to clear the AI advanced course specific to the function which I understand. So I think our shifting of focus has to start with your cognitive ability. So that's why the revolution. Having said that, the capabilities are amazing. I'm not sure whether you understand this or no. I've intentionally made on the right hand bottom corner of this PPT, you can see something called made with gamma. I've kept it intentionally there in one of the slides. Just to let you know, most of the line item which is being created by AI today will realize the value proposition by knowing what you need and how much you need and how do you really integrate that need with a specific problem statement or a solution in mind. If you have a problem statement and your prompt engineering has really worked well for you, I think you can change from text to audio, audio to video, or text to video, or you can tailor make any of your presentation to the larger world or your portfolio of students. Large population today who I'm talking to are professors. I'm just telling you, your work will be much better in terms of realizing value proposition. Now, the classical statement as a researcher, all of you will ask, and as a researcher myself, will have to answer, do you see plagiarism? Do you have involvement of AI for all the presented papers which you are going to present? Now, answer is yes and no. Many of the times, your ability to present a value might be lost in the glory of utilization of AI or the as a lecture making sure AI powered capabilities are taking away your natural thinking. If that is the way to look at it, I think then I'm sure you will become, you will succumb to being a slave to AI. Now, I reverse the logic. I will reverse this logic. If you make AI and technology as your slave while keeping your original thinking intact, I think AI can't replace us or it can only complement. I'll give an example. Most of you are from Kolkata, right? And there are certain set of silk sarees or cotton sarees which are manufactured in various parts of Kolkata. You take any of the names of the best in class sarees which we manufacture, handcrafted in the villages by those villagers. Now you go to AI, put the name of that particular sari making style or system or process online with AI. I'm telling you, you will not get a right solution from AI. I've been an artist and being an artist, most of you who's from Bengal, who's from the artistic world of Bengal, if I say for Tabla playing, can you recite the Rela from Jaipur, Jana, which is in the year 1900 to 1950? AI can't generate. I have tried this now. Let me try this. I tried this and I failed miserably in getting the result. So, which side of the coin you want to be slave to? If you want to be a slave to AI, yes, we will do the slavery from the future. If you want to turn around and say, I would like to use the slave for AI to leverage advantage and complement my work, I think you will become a gospel. Believe me, healthcare has regenerated this statement extremely well. Today, 99% of the radiologists in India and abroad can be leveraged by a AI technician or a digital twin of AI. So I think the strategy versus capabilities have to be laid in by putting into a weighing machine. And you should make your architecture very clear which side of the weighing coin, weighing side you belong to. So you can become a slave or you want to use AI to make use of the slavery of AI for a lack of a better word. So being a strategist, I think leverage AI for your advantage. Now the question is, what happens if entire world uses AI? What happened when smartphone came in? What happened? All of us learned as a computer specialist. I've done my undergraduate in computer science. Everybody was scaring me, saying that the world will be only led by computer. In the last 20 years, I leveraged the knowledge of computers which I've learned, and I'm sure there are a lot of teachers here in this room who have leveraged knowledge of computers for their advantage, making meaningful outputs from the profession they created. So the new frontier for all of us is to create human creativity, integrate with AI creativity, generate a refined product which can generate something which can be fast, which can be agile, which could be custom made, which could enhance, amplify the capability, and enhance the way of living. Now, you must have heard of IoT, you must have heard of standalone cloud servers, you must have heard of standalone technologies. Now, if you marry these three and integrate all of them, it has just empowered all of us to run the way we want to run the world, agnostic to the industry we all belong to. So, for all of us, it's a matter of finding a solution faster, easier, leveraging to the advantage of customer portfolio, thereby enhancing the value of the business. That's the hack of a leader. I think when I look at the new frontier of human-centered creativity created by AI. So, so what happens in this kind of an environment? Let me tell you, as we embrace the refinement in AI and then AI, one thing for sure, we will integrate and complement working together, keeping in mind the ethics part of the AI usage and the transformation, keeping in mind leveraging the potential for your advantage. Let me give you an example. If you are designing a product portfolio, and I'm sitting in a very reputed college campus, I'm just evaluating a project portfolio of students who have created, iconic products and services solutions, and I'm going to evaluate them from today 8 p.m. till about 1 a.m. tonight. And I'm here in that particular college today, where there is a worldwide hackathon happening. Believe me, some of the solutions which I saw in the morning, some of the solutions which have been created by these little kids who are between the age profile of 18 to 25, doing their PG and undergraduate course, is mind-bogglingly different. There are research which is done using AI of removal of dust, pollution, menace in lakes of Bangalore to sending certain bacterial growth in the human body by reviewing these particular bacteria, which can generate power for the future. You might laugh about it when I say this, so. But believe me, if today they have done the scale in a smaller ecosystem, a ecosystem of startup coming and taking over that particular solution mindset can really mind map the entire organization of cleaning the lakes or building a power solution using the bacterial growth in human body. About 10 months back, I was in a singular university doing some kind of a study and understanding humanoids and the generation of new humanoids is being created by the founder, Peter Diamond recently. Believe me, today, the reversing of the age profiles of people is real. There are about $200 million spent by our own research developers in this particular research, and they've already made inroads. The remaining a UN resolution to be passed in this particular research. So what I'm trying to impress, I'm trying to tell all of us, if we don't embrace agnostic our age profile, our experience profile, our professional profile, agnostic to all three portfolios which I just alluded to, you will become an isolate if you don't become party to the celebration. Because there is a lot more plus and plus and plus happening out there in that field. Leveraging to your advantage will be only the solution. It's left out for us to embrace and characterize our personality, including our own profession of future. So it is the future for all of us. As far as HR is concerned, and I will not make this statement, don't think I'm giving you an HR gyan here or a talent gyan here. I'm not here to give you any gyan because you know better than me. Believe me, today, when I look at recruitment, whether it is a volume recruitment, mid-level hiring, or senior level hiring, my entire volume hiring today is done by digital training. I was spending lunch and dinner time with one of the largest FMCG companies, a senior leader. In fact, her title is CHRO AI. Can you believe? Her title is CHRO AI. That's the title. And I just don't want to, she has not given me a permission to tell her name and the company name because they're designing the digital thing. And this lady made a presentation, I think, in one of the international conferences outside of India. And the entire conversation happened with the digital thing. Believe me, this is reality. Then I asked her during dinner time, I said, what would be the opportunity of area for all of us in this particular digital thing which you've shown us? You know what she said? Digital twin today does 90% work. What I'm still learning along with the digital twin or making of a model for her is to modulate her emotions, her voice modulation, her pitch modulation, the intonation of her voice, so that it is near to the reality of reaching out to the teams she works with. She's a global leader, and she was the CEO of this large FMCG company. So what I'm saying is design thinking from creating a problem statement to a solution or by being empathetic about human behavior is the only opportunity area for us to work on. If there is an AI model or a robot model which can generate emotions like human beings, which can think every picosecond, the way in which we can think, if it can generate that kind of an ideation, I think lot many problems in this world get resolved. To that extent, what we do as talent leaders to get in AI and technology in hiring, for example, the entire process from screening of the CV till the final round of offer discussion. In fact, I work with a startup as a mentor, where we are experimenting on the complete onboarding process, including the pre-training and post-training, before the individual, the candidate has been exposed to the customer. The end-to-end solution has been designed to ensure agility happens, accuracy happens, quality is improved, and ability to drive results for the customer. So that's one piece. Second piece, when you look at invite things, I'm sure some of you are traveling to Shanghai and Beijing in China. The entire airport today is managed by bots. Some of you who are want to China, you'll be able to appreciate what I'm saying. It can just do your retinal scan, and if you've done the retinal scan as you enter the airport, it can welcome you by the way. In fact, even Charlie has that facility. It can give you a coding pass by doing a digital scan, and it can also direct you which launch which you can leverage depending on your credit score. And it can give you a WhatsApp call, a method to reach out to you to an email or to an app. It can even direct you what kind of menu has been served in that particular launch. Believe me, today you exemplify this example into employee experience in an organizational setting. You take organizational setting and use this model for employee experience. You can get moved of people. You can understand how in and not out time, and you can design what kind of employee longevity you can see. You can also see the productivity figures, rating figures, performance rating figures, and the company government figures, and the background of that individual. And you can create a caricature of that individual, saying he can work for this kind of customer, this kind of product portfolio, this kind of service portfolio, and he can remain for a months, given his background and his history of being in multiple companies in multiple. Today, doctors in healthcare, including Manipal in Bangalore, can create a topographic landscape of an individual by looking at their family history. And it can design your ability to know how healthy you will be. Taking into consideration your past record, thereby generating your entire report of by when you will be diabetic, by when you might have the potential of getting cancer. So to a greater extent, the employee experience, talent experience can be leveraged to your advantage. Then it can, talent practices of training, retraining, remodeling training. Today is evolved and it has changed massively. So if I don't use chatbots for my training program, for evaluating a product case, use case to design solutions, and thereby generating my own, competing with AI bots. That is what trainers are doing. Trainers are not generating only bot or chatbot driven solutions. They are saying in the community colleges of the US, the competitions are led by using technology on one side and putting them in a room without using the technology. How human nature can design then mix and match the solutions and come back with the kind of solution that this competition or the competition in these community colleges. That is the implementation level that we are talking about. So let's remember the element which we need to keep in mind while working very closely with GenAI. The human-centered approach should be empathy has to be kept in mind. Ultimately, we work with human beings while continuing to leverage AI as our scale to take advantage. Ideation, generating iterative ideation by creating multiple problem statement and solutions, and then make it a way of life. Ideation by iteration is a way of life for generative AI. Acceleration, speed, catalyst is another component of design thinking to make the AI human-centered approach. And the last one is your ability to keep the problem in mind to design the solution. I'll give you a natural pause here. I know I've been extremely quick in giving you this holistic view. Some of you must have read what one says. You have a full right to feel. So, but in an environment where I've been generating myself, my inability and ability to learn AI in the context of the HR in the complete tickets, working with largest of the largest transactions, my realization is today, and I'm just going to pause here for Q&A for some time, then in time for this, I'll continue my slides. Believe me, team, you need to be a partner in crime while building AI. And AI should be a partner in crime in building human approach. That is the kind of model which we will see in the future. It is the integration, it is not isolation. It is the overlapping, not the isolating of the problem statement. It is the ideation and generating speed, thereby agility, thereby making sure the problem statement is solved in a better way for all of us. I will start by one example which I've seen in the healthcare industry, and I can give you tons of other industry examples. You look at healthcare today, a robotic surgeon is charged about 4 times than the mainstream subject knowledge expert who's standing in an operation theater. And most of the time, this robotic surgeon operates on an individual who's undergoing a carcinoma or a cancer removal. Happens through multiple screens inside the operation theater. Yeah, you will have goosebumps, let me tell you. You will have goosebumps. But an expert doctor with 40 years of experience will not have the tenacity of the hand. He will not have the wherewithal to use his fingers to leverage accuracy, pin sharp accuracy in generating that particular element of aware to be removed out with that kind of a precision. Today it can be done using robotics. So what I'm trying to impress here is, I think the world is open for us. We need to embrace it with open arms. If we don't become a subject matter of expert, agnostic to whatever profession we have done so far, we will be soon replaced by robots or digital twins in large university we have. It is a threat. Absolutely yes. As a professor of practice, let me tell you, I've taken that on my chin in order to take the challenge and become a subject matter of expert to learn this quicker than my daughter who is 20 years old. That is my suggestion for all of us. If you don't pick up, then we will become the subject matter of leverage. So I stop here for a while. If there are any tough questions for me to answer, I will answer them, and if time permits, I will continue.
Unmute.
Any questions, Steve? Take the mic so that I can hear. Take the mic.
Unmute,
Put me
unmute.
at a spot. Ask me a difficult question. I will not shy away from telling you that I don't know. If I know, I will certainly answer.
Okay, so the floor is open for questions. Any questions from the audience? Anyone?
We can bring the mic to you. Five,
So it looks like
four,
everything
three,
is very clear.
2, 1, 0. Okay, I'll continue. Alright, so when you look at example your talent portfolio, right? You will have that much work to do as a talent leader. Okay? Now, let me give you an example, and I've been talking about this for the last half an hour. You look at my portfolio today. My portfolio, if I'm responsible for recruitment, if I'm responsible for onboarding, if I'm responsible for employing, look at the kind of work which already platforms are doing. I've given you one example here. If you can see the screen, I'm just expanding the screen. All this integration of technology is a reality. Huh? It is not something which will come on our way. It is a reality. Today, when I do LinkedIn Insight as an executive recruiter, including senior vice presidents and presidents for my company, my only way to leverage is LinkedIn Insights, which leverages AI. You go to Copilot in MS Teams, which you are using. Just put the details of that individual you are hiring. You will have informal ref check done. You will have the complete informal ref check. Of course, you need to understand a little bit of prompt engineering. Is prompt engineering is only the job of a BE in computer science? I'm sorry. Prompt engineering could be learned by anyone who has the basic undergraduate degree. If some of us think that we have done it all, I'm telling you, we will become the laggards in terms of realizing the value proposition of prompt engineering. It's better we go to Udemy, we go to our NPTEL, we go to Coursera of the world, complement our hard skills which I'm learning from the college, and bring value propositions which can really compete with the lab tech teaching, the professors of the world, the assistant professors of the world. And really, as a professor of practice, that's what I do. When I go and listen to somebody who's giving a guest lecture on AI or who's doing an MBA in AI in the international study, it's better to be subservient to them, listen to them, understand what they do, and start becoming a practitioner. The problem with all of us, our limited knowledge becomes reflective in our, A grade paper, B grade paper, C grade research papers, and it limits to that. I know some of you are getting the heat of the statement I'm giving you. Let it be. The day we move away from, extend our journey from the research paper to practice areas, thereby identifying ourselves as industry experts and rubbing shoulders with them, I think we will become more and more clear. Even vice versa is true. Vice versa is true. The day industry guys are able to understand the knowledge and practical realizing the values they bring to the table to the customer, if they put it in a research paper, both the bodies will get gained. So it is a mutual gain and lose kind of a game. Blaming each other is not a solution. Anyway, so there is this in the context of HR, you look at today your any job descriptions, and this entire believe me, I use Claude, I use Gamma, I use the ChatGPT, I think 5.1 or whatever that, ChatGPT, and then I used Copilot because I was not getting the appropriate resonance with the content built by me for my academic section, with this kind of section with the professors. So I have to do multiple ways of integrating these knowledge bases available for me to generate value systems for this portfolio. And VDD is entirely done by AI. So what did I do? I did a little bit of personalization. What did I do? I brought about my personal journey. What did I do? I brought in the value proposition of what I've learned from my failures. I think if you are able to integrate your so-called experience into the realities of artificial AI in the context of design thinking, I think you will be well pleased in life. Anyway, so this is something which I wanted to show you. Believe me, the future is you will go to a mall, you will go to a hotel, you sit at home, you have your technology working for you, and we will have a place for ourselves to realize that your companion is no more an individual who will breathe and breathe out. It could be a machine in the future. I'll stop here again, and I allow this audience to ask me questions. I don't want to, take out the time of the next speaker or your next break. So if you have any questions, please fix me. Ask me toughest of the toughest questions. Let's integrate those things into what I'm trying to say.
Any questions from the audience again? Okay, so there's one question.
Sure. Let's the mic go there. Or the person can come to the mic. Please introduce your name, introduce yourself before you ask the question.
नहीं यहाँ से बोलिए ना बोलो
Hello, sir.
कहीं से बोलो
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Hi, sir. I'm Dr. Avi Gupta. So, since the morning we have heard a few speakers, and I have drawn some gist out of this conversation. Uh, the fact is, in computer science field, we are talking of AI in the industry and professors of practice bringing the industrial trend into academics, and the industry leading the academics by almost a decade and a half. On the other hand, if you look at control systems engineering or electrical engineering, the opposite is to where mathematics leads the future. Uh, control systems have they have gone into PID controls and many other functional controls and everything. But actual application is in the industry still like nobody has even perfectly implemented proportional or integrated controls. Let's not differentiate. So these things are there. Now we are talking about bringing design thinking and innovation into these things. So my query here is like how can we bridge the gap between the academics and the industry given the current situation? Like there's the gap is it's a big void between almost a decade and a half at least. So, for the evaluation, as they just can also, because in academics, we have to teach the kids the basics, like C programming. It's very old, but until a student knows its nitty-gritty, I don't think a student will clearly understand the various of data structures. Or let's say studying digital electronics. Without that, no matter how much semiconductor industry goes forward, until the details of the digital electronics are clear, which was I think back in the 1800s and early 90s. And how can we expect a student to really go forward in critical thinking, in design thinking, and innovation? Students are innovating very well. Despite
Yeah, Professor, fantastic. I think it's a cliche. Most of the time, these questions are very multiple times asked in forums where I address. Number one, if the students, by in general, right, wants to be this side of the coin, my simple metric for students, you have the top or right or
वीडियो में दिखोगे आप
20%
वीडियो
who are aligned to the kind
नहीं
of
रहो
industry which gets, who get the speed, agility, and learnability about 20 to 30% of the population. You have about 40 to 50% of people in the middle spectrum, in the triangle, right? So you will have about 40 to 50% of the people who are in the cusp. You nudge them a little bit, they might go into the earlier bracket. If you have the wrong company, they can be nudged below from their existing level. Then you have about 20 to 30% at the bottom. For them, education at their age profile is fun. Okay, university undergraduate program is fun. So they don't want to look bad in terms of leveraging their youth by doing things except education, right? Now, what happens to the bottom? When you start solutioning them, what happens to the bottom? When industry looks at people, industry looks at people like a top contractor. So they get a job, and then you in the middle they get some time. So what we do train and then hire them. Okay, then the bottom quartile of the middle portion, they get hired and trained. Now the bottommost, the useless category, right? The people who have come to so-called fun to do fun because their age and their hormonal situations are directing them into a wrong direction. Now these people will take the longest journey to realize what they love. Okay, just to let you know, my brother, here is a candidate who's sitting in front of you, who is an anchor. My God, who's a major failure in his life. Major failure. I don't want to shy away from telling you. You know how many years he took to complete his graduation? 25 years. He could have completed at the age of 20, he completed at the age of 25. What age he became a manager? He could have continued my father's business, but he did not. So he got into service. It took about 15 years to become a manager. I was a global head at ATC Mutual Fund after 15 years of my education, right? So the bottom quartile people pay a price. They pay a price in terms of time, pay a price in terms of maturity, pay a price in terms of being heavy to the economy, and that's why major economics in the country, including the US of the world, and the European countries are paying the highest amount of money spent on unemployment. They are at the bottom of the quadrant. They never investigated and invested in the population. Today, India is thriving because even if you take at the middle spectrum who is at the cusp of either becoming the top or at the bottom, you put them together, at least our education system and our family systems and our family ethos are pushing people to learn. Right? But in the Western world, what did the parents say? If you don't work, it's okay. You're out of the house at the age of 80. And what the kid did, he started selling burgers. He became a sales guy. Now, we want to be worried about that. We have a lot of scope given our population. So I would rather suggest, as a natural therapist, as a very ordinary individual who comes from some certain background, and a poor family background, let me tell you, the only solution for us, we have to get in the right places to tell them, you want to spend 15 years to be what you want to be, or you want to complete the best class. Now, if you don't aim for sky, you will not fall on the green. Now, should we stop repeating this budget? We should not stop. We should sing this budget again and again. Now, what happens to all of us? We do our job as teachers, our job as teachers. The day we do our job as our profession, by relentlessly working with the people at the bottom of the outliers, even if you remember 10% of the bottom outliers, we have done absolutely well to this economic or to the education industry. So that is the generic view. The second view, the price which the government pays, the family will pay, the individual will spend is significantly high. The second view. The third view, he or she cannot be in the patterned world of education leading him to be something like it. But the examples of such people who did not take up education, who claimed to fame and telling that I was a dropout, If somebody, those dropout cases are only 1% of the population now. Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani can talk about it. By selling milk, he has become a millionaire. I and you can't be Dhirubhai Ambani's. So let's be very clear. Don't compare ourselves with 1% of the population who had the dropout. Apple's the founder chairman was a dropout. And what we do, we look at the TEDx and we feel great. Oh, look at my son. He's not studying well. Let him aim Apple's founder. Let me tell you, only God has to save you. That's what I tell you. Even God will be completely not starting to be shy away from giving you support. Don't look at that 1% of the population who tell you, no, I was a dropout. That's why I have created Sohos of the world. I was a dropout and I have created DCS of the world. Don't get into this massive, falsified universe of 1%. And I'm telling you with a lot of vigor and passion. Because most of the people whom we live with have this iconic way of writing a blog on this. Because they watch Three Idiots. Because only idiots can watch Three Idiots, yeah. I'm just saying, it has to be a movie, and it has to be made as a movie. You can't do space technology. Tesla is an example. But you can't become Tesla. You and me are very ordinary people. We can become extraordinary by a vehicle for education. Unfortunately, the vehicle is with us in the university system. I was in South Africa 2 weeks back. I pity the entire country. Not because infrastructure is not good. Infrastructure is world class in Maharashtra. If you land in the it's much better than Bangalore and Kolkata. But look at the population. I was looking at hiring somebody who's a CCNA qualified, certified person. I could get hardly 10 names in the whole of the This is not for public consumption. It's only for academic purpose. I'm giving you this use case. Let's not be browbeating on topics which becomes cliche for us to feel great about ourselves. Don't undermine failures by putting it in under the carpet and say, no, पढ़ाई करने से कुछ नहीं होता है. अरे यार, अंबानी को देखो, उसने क्या पढ़ाई किया? मोदी को देखो, वो चाय बेच के वो मोदी बन गया. अरे मोदी एक ही बनता है यार. आप अपने मोदी बन नहीं सकते. Modi is only one. So I think let's not become very passionate about these biblical conversations. It doesn't happen. And I'm very open about that. We will hit the afterwards.
Yes, actually, absolutely accept the fact that even the dropouts, you're talking like Steve Jobs or these people, we have to see that they were dropouts from Ivy League college. They were good enough to go into Ivy League college, then drop out. So that's also a fact. So it's no big, there's no pride in being dropout, especially in the Indian education system. Right. So what I am saying is how, like, from your industry perspective, what would be your suggestion to us teachers so that we can provide?
From the industry perspective, I think that's a cliche answer I will give you. My request, all of you, Amitabh Bachchan saw me back from the on his life journey. I asked him, sir, आपका फेलियर हुआ जीवन में, आपका सक्सेस भी हुआ, आपने एक चीज किया होगा which will define Amitabh Bachchan as Amitabh Bachchan. You know what he said? अरे क्या मतलब, मैं तो अपने बिग बम का था, अभी भी बिग बम हो रहा हूँ. Let me tell you, as professors, हम लोगों को बिग मारना पड़ेगा to get industry assignments. Industry वालों को बिग मारना पड़ेगा. I'll tell you, for the last 15 years, 40 times, one of the Ivy League teachers or the college has rejected me. I'm not doing that. एमएलएन में पब्लिश होना था, स्कोपस में आना था, छोटे-छोटे जर्नल्स में आ गया आर्टिकल, okay? They did not accept. So can I lobby? Big Mama is a great word, right? You should be very, you should have mental grit. That's a sophisticated management word now. Okay? You should have mental grit to go back to the industry, do 1, 2, 3, 4 projects. Okay? For which you have holidays. You beg for a steal that time from your director, from sir. Okay, if it doesn't give you, go to the chairman, sir. Okay, I'm in the board. I sit in your board meeting most of the time. That's what I tell them. Okay, third, if the industry is not giving you space, just look at your entire iconic LinkedIn connects of the world. Your students are something, somewhere, something they're doing. Tell them, सारे मेरे को काम दे. मेरे हाथ से तुमने सीखा. First degree equation, second degree equation, third degree equation, calculus. सारे मेरे को एक काम नहीं दे सकते हो क्या? I'm sorry to use this language because this language is, this afternoon time after a good meal in Bangkok. So this is the language I speak, so that you get it right. So you just go and back for steal time from our own students who passed out in the last 10 years. बता दें उनको कि मेरे पास टाइम है, मेरे पास ये 2 महीना टाइम है, आपके कंपनी में क्या कर सकता हूँ? I tell you, even today, when I ask for a professor of practice, I get only rejections. But I also get acceptances. I get an acceptance from IIT, I get an acceptance from Cambridge, I get an acceptance from Oxford, I will still get an acceptance from Waterloo, I will still get from IIT. Don't ask me how many times I have failed. That's a private conversation. But do I stop? In fact, प्रदीप सर को पूछो, मैं कितने बार लिख पाऊंगा उनसे कि मेरे को लेकर आओ कैंपस में. अभी तक नहीं दिया प्रदीप सर. this month, this year, May month, late night, I was doing this AI certification program from New Delhi. And I was playing that video again and again, and I was playing. Who helped me? My second year engineering student at home. They are majority. Wife is not second year. My partner is second year. Wife is maybe a PhD kind of equivalent. She slept, and my daughter came and helped me. So what happened, yeah? Wrong video देख रहे हो सारे? खाने का लो बेसिस देख लो 4-5 देख लो उसके बाद ये ट्राई करो ये यूडेमी का बहुत एडवांस है आपने पैसा देने से तुम हीरो नहीं बनोगे these are the words पैसा देने से it's like business class में upgrade होता है from J class ऐसा नहीं होता है ना यूडेमी के लिए तुमने एक लाइसेंस खरीद लिया $1,200 दे दो तुम बस सब सर्टिफिकेशन यूडेमी फ्री देता है क्या And she said this, and she's a good speaker. In fact, she's performing as we speak now. So I'm missing her performance because I admitted, sir. They said 2 to 3 p.m. for me, and then immediately changed to 3 to 4. And professor sent me a note saying that after lecture 3 to 4. So the didi ko bola video after that. नहीं बॉम्बे वाला हिंदी बोलता हूँ आपका देखो वाला शुद्ध हिंदी नहीं आता है and I tried that sir I gave a long answer with a lot of fun that's how life is right when I did my PhD at the age of 15 I was competing with all the professors who were better than me okay I got the second rank the first rank still went to an academician and I did not shy away from saying so I know academicians are better than me I still know there are professors who can run shoulders with me who's better than me, even though I come with 3 decades of industry experience. Let's have the humility, back borrow, mutually both sides. Industry should back borrow and academics should also back borrow. आपको easy route को shortcut, आपके बच्चों को डरा के रखें, like a terrorist. Call them. सारे काम मैंने पढ़ाया था तब याद है? वो क्या है? In action मैंने पढ़ाया बताओ वो एग्जाम्पल जो आपने गलती से लिखा था एग्जाम में उसको मैंने करेक्ट किया था आप पार्ट में पढ़ाया था इसीलिए आपको पास मार्क मिला वो सब क्या दिलाओ बिकॉज़ हमारा अभी $100 million का बिजनेस रन कर रहा है चार मिस नहीं हुआ ना मेरे को बिस्किट नहीं मिला क्वेश्चन पूछिए और क्वेश्चन ठीक है
No more questions?
And thanks to sir for his humility.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this session. It was very entertaining. As well as education-wise also, I hope all of the teachers have learned a lot. But your session definitely made today's day. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
See you back. All the best. Team, I will put my scanner, this scan, and that's the only way I know that I've done a good job. Okay, this is my scanner. वहाँ पे सीट पे बैठ के स्कैन कीजिए इसको स्कैन किया so that you know for sure. स्कैन वहाँ पे जोकर के कॉर्ड नाम पे प्रवीण का and you can keep in touch. You need any help in terms of academia, research. You want to write paper along with me? That's right. Let's tell the world, let's tell the idealists of the world that we are better. We have to be apart. We can compete with the best. We are not done because we can. We don't have a qualification, doesn't matter. We don't have an IMT, doesn't matter. But we can compete with the IMT. We can compete with the IMT. So please stand and see you soon. Mr. Pradeep Chandra, he's promised me to call me today. He says he likes immediately saying that I'm online with us.
Sure, sir, sure, 100%.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, everyone, for the questions, and thank you so much, sir. Of the workshop with some more enriching and insightful discussion. Thank you. Thank you.